an amazing experience, Gary. These guys have all the money in the world. They're making so much money. Every one of them, that it's not about money anymore. And we felt we were really given a strategic gift by the American team pursuing, the 200 grand stip end. Because we were everything that to counter that. We were everything the opposite. Golf legends are finally breaking their silence on the 2025 RDER Cup, and what they're spilling might rewrite golf history forever. Behind those polished statements and fake smiles lies a truth nobody was ready to face. The camera scud away. The mics went quiet. But Bethpage, it didn't whisper. It roared with chaos. Those cool-headed icons, the ones who once embodied golf's calm and class, suddenly couldn't stay quiet anymore. Tom Watson, a name carved deep into Ryder Cup battles, didn't sugarcoat a single thing. He said flat out, "I am ashamed. The jeers, the swearing, even a drink thrown near Rory Maroy's family, that wasn't passion. It was humiliation." I think one of the biggest mistakes that, the American Ryder Cup team always seems to make, or the PJ of America, is they go to courses that we're not familiar with. Kiwa, same way. K, no way. For people that know, Kia is a legendary resort now. It wasn't even on the map. Paul, when a legend known for pure sportsmanship calls out his own country's crowd, the whole world stops to listen. The PGA of America even issued a personal apology to Maroy, his family, and several European players. A move as rare as a hole-in-one in a hurricane. For the old-school pros who treated silence like gospel, Bethpage felt like sacred ground turned upside down. One furious veteran told ESPN, "This isn't football. We used to teach etiquette before swing speed." And that right there hits the real nerve of it all. This wasn't just one crazy crowd. It was a full-blown crisis of values shaking golf to its core. Watson's public outrage flipped everything upside down, turning a wild night into a wake-up call the sport couldn't ignore. It stopped being about a few loudmouth fans. This was about golf soul. Can a game built on respect survive when its biggest stage starts feeling like a boxing match with scorecards? While the US crowd lost control, Europe stayed ice-cold, focused, ruthless, and classy a lot once. And right in the middle of that madness stood one man, Luke Donald. If the fans were thunder, he was the lightning that struck back with calm precision. Back-to-back Ryder Cup wins, first in 2023, now in 2025, locked his name into golf history forever. Even the legends couldn't help but bow in respect. Paul McInley, the RDR Cups-wise strategist, laid it out like gospel. Captains from every corner praised Luke Donald's no-ego zone, where nobody chased fame or spotlight moments, no meltdowns, no showboating, just clean focus, perfect chemistry, and total trust. It was golf's version of calm combat, pure zen under pressure. Even Sky Sports veteran Ewan Murray couldn't hold back, calling Donald's approach surgical. While American analysts screamed about data charts and pairing theories, Europe's icons just grinned. This is how champions move. Donald didn't just win trophies. He brought belief back from the dead. He showed that composure beats chaos, that true leadership doesn't need noise to make impact. Even in the madness of Bethpage to golf's traditional legends, Donald's team looked like a flashback to pure times. No social media drama, no egos, just disciplined warriors on a mission. He built a wall of trust, McInley declared, and Team USA slammed straight into it. On a weekend when respect vanished into thin air, Luke Donald's calm became a silent form of rebellion. He didn't yell, didn't fold, he just outlasted every ounce of chaos around him. Then stepped in the showman himself, Bryson DeChambeau, the mad genius of golf, the walking experiment, part powerhouse, part headline machine, down 5 through 7 holes against Matt Fitzpatrick. Bryson did what only he could, made the unthinkable look scripted. His insane comeback to have the match didn't change the scoreboard, but it flipped the vibe of the whole weekend. Commentators called it pure match play theater, where strategy turned emotional and adrenaline became the weapon of choice. For 10 wild holes, the U.S. bench came roaring back like a squad possessed. Bethpage lit up like a revival tent. Golf finally had its heartbeat back. He brought oxygen into the room, one former captain shouted on NBC's panel. The old-school legends couldn't look away. They were grinning, shaking their heads, and loving every second of the madness. It wasn't chaos anymore. It was beautiful disorder. thatch raw, unfiltered kind of golf that makes the RDER Cup more than a scoreboard, it's a gut test. Some even said it felt like Medina 2012 all over again. That legendary night when pure belief flipped, the script and the sport felt alive again. For Europe, it turned into a masterclass in pure control. Donald's quad soaked up that American surge like it was nothing. Calm, steady, unshakable. It felt like a living symbol. Flashy modern golf going head-to-head with the game's timeless spirit. Somewhere between the noise, the chants, and that insane comeback, the legends suddenly saw what they'd lost, the fire that lives right on the edge between chaos and mastery. That was the breaking point, the moment the whole vibe shifted. When the dust finally settled and the hot takes started flying, one name echoed through the locker rooms like a bad hangover. Scottie Scheffler, the world's #1, usually cool and composed, suddenly looked rattled, vulnerable, human. He was supposed to be Team USA's rock, but instead he turned into their compass gone wild, spinning with every wave of pressure. And when Scheffler cracked, the golf veterans didn't bite their tongues. They came swinging with some brutal truth. "You can't have your top guy sinking like he's in quicksand," one furious veteran barked on Golf Channel. Another insider whispered what fans already saw. Scottie Scheffler looked completely alone. His pairings felt off, the vibes were cold, and the chemistry non-existent. Analysts started throwing shade at Captain Keegan Bradley's data-driven approach. Too much algorithm, not enough heart. Meanwhile, Europe moved like a symphony in motion. Every step, every swing perfectly tuned. Donald's crew prayed together, trusted each other, felt each other, while Team USA looked like strangers who just bumped into each other at the airport carousel. It was golf's version of a superstar meltdown. All talent, zero unity, as Paul Inger cut straight to the truth. The Ryder Cup isn't about talent, it's about temperament, and this time America completely lost its rhythm. "If the chemistry is off, even God misses fairways," one legend muttered. And that summed up Scottie Scheffler perfectly. Still brilliant, still ranked #1, but totally adrift with no anchor in sight. The crowd's toxic chaos didn't help either. What should have been his home turf felt like a boiling pot ready to blow. For golf's old guard, it was painful irony. The man who tamed majors getting broken by pure noise and bad energy. "It's match play," one analyst groaned, "not a math problem." Bethpage was supposed to celebrate America's dominance, but instead, it tore every weakness wide open. It forced the greats to admit the ugly truth. Leadership isn't built on analytics. It's built on aura. The real sting? The problem went deeper than missed putts or bad pairings. Golf's elders agreed. Bethpage didn't just expose a bad weekend. It revealed a cultural fracture in how the sport handles fans, players, and the pressure of its biggest stages. The whispers turned into headlines. Golf's culture war was now out in the open. "This isn't country club golf anymore," one columnist wrote. It's emotional warfare with sponsorships. The chaos at Bethpage wasn't just about bad fans. It was about identity. Who owns golf now? The traditionalists who preach silence or the new wave who thrive on noise and spectacle? Even Tiger Woods, usually careful with his words, hinted that something had to change. "Respect has to come back," he told reporters, his tone cold and measured, like a warning wrapped in calm. The world saw the cracks, the chants, the schvies, the meltdowns. It all screamed that golf's polished image couldn't survive modern pressure. What once was a gentleman's game suddenly looked like a public therapy session on live TV. Legends from both sides agreed. The Ryder Cup had become too big, too loud, too emotional to control. And maybe that's why everyone's still talking about Bethpage, because it showed the truth raw and unfiltered behind the press room smiles. Tension lingered like smoke. The PGA of America quietly held late-night meetings, trying to patch the wounds before sponsors and networks started pulling strings. Players' agents demanded mental health support, while European pros asked for stricter crowd rules next time. The sport was in cleanup mode. Even Keegan Bradley, once hailed as a passionate leader, looked drained by the storm he'd unleashed. One insider said he aged 5 years in 1 week. But amid the chaos, Luke Donald walked away untouched, calm, measured, and vindicated. The man had done what few could, keep his team cool while the world burned around them. For Europe, it wasn't just a win. It was proof that tradition and unity still work in a world addicted to drama. "Discipline beats dopamine," one old coach joked. And everyone nodded because deep down they knew he was right. The world saw a clear contrast. America brought emotion, but Europe brought order, and order won. Golf historians are already calling it the Bethpage break. The moment when the sport's golden image finally cracked. Every generation has its reckoning, and this was golf's. The old codes of silence, composure, and respect couldn't survive the viral age. Not when every swing, every curse, every glare turns into instant content. The Ryder Cup had become both a battlefield and a stage, and everyone was performing. Tom Watson's words echoed louder than the final. Score. When respect leaves the fairway, the game loses its soul. That line became a meme, a movement. Fans printed it on shirts, players reposted it online. Even the new kids raised on highlight reels and sponsorships started realizing that golf wasn't just about stats, it was about spirit. Bethpage didn't ruin golf, it revealed it. Beneath the etiquette and marketing, the sport finally showed its heart. Messy and magnificent. And that's why this Ryder Cup will never fade from memory. In the aftermath, the debates turned fiery. Should the Ryder Cup bring in fan behavior fines? Should players have veto power over pairings? Social media exploded with hot takes. Some said the chaos was good, that it gave golf emotion, personality, a pulse. Others said it was the death of class. One viral post read, "Golf doesn't need more hype, it needs more honor," and it hit millions of views overnight. Meanwhile, European players returned home to heroes' welcomes while Team USA faced brutal headlines. Overhyped, overcoached, over it. The contrast couldn't be sharper. Behind the noise, though, one truth glimmered. Golf was evolving whether anyone liked it or not. The Ryder Cup wasn't broken. It was just honest for the first time in decades. The crowd didn't just cheer or boo. They exposed what the sport had been hiding. Emotion, ego, and everything in between. And now, as the dust finally settles, golf stands at a crossroads. The legends are split. Some want the sport to tighten its rules. Others say, let it breathe. You can't silence passion, one Hall of Famer argued. You can only guide it. But even the boldest voices admit something's changed forever. Bethpage wasn't just another Ryder Cup. It was a mirror held up to the game's soul. From Watson's shame to Donald's poise. From Bryson's chaos to Scheffler's unraveling. Every storyline fed into truth. Golf is human again. It bleeds, it breaks, it feels. The question now isn't who wins in 2027. It's what kind of sport golf wants to be when that day comes. Will it chase clicks or chase class? They started demanding real rules. Not just glossy codes buried in handbooks, but consequences that actually sting. Jack Nicklaus and the other great looked back to when one icy glare from a pro could silence an entire crowd. Now, they warned, if golf doesn't clean up its act, this wild behavior will spread like a bad infection. Some even called foreign course referees with real power. The kind who can eject rowdy fans or slap penalties down right there on the green. Others pushed for tighter boundaries around player families and personal zones. The M. Roys and others had their space invaded in ways that shocked even the toughest veterans. Totally out of line. The old guard wasn't asking, they were demanding. They wanted physical barriers, stricter enforcement, and respect restored because in their yes, no family, no spouse. No child should ever feel unsafe on a golf course. Again, not at a Ryder Cup, not anywhere. They also sounded the alarm about withdrawal rules. What happens when players crack under brutal crowd pressure or media heat? To the legends, Bethpage wasn't just chaos. It was a wake-up call. Tradition can't keep being the excuse for turning a blind eye. Golf is to find that sweet middle ground where passion doesn't drown out respect and fanfare doesn't burn away player dignity. For the icons watching from afar, this was a defining moment, a real crossroads for the sport. Either golf raises its standards or risks losing every soul that made it special. Now that the chants have died down and the beer stains have faded from the fairways, one chilling question lingers in the air. What will Bethpage truly be remembered for? The scoreboard says Europe took the win again. But to golf's elders, that weekend marked something darker. The day the gentleman's game forgot its manners. This isn't about noise, Watson said. It's about respect. If the Ryder Cup actually takes the lesson from Bethpage to heart, maybe it can find its soul again. But if it doesn't, 2025 will forever be remembered